Hey everyone, it's Chris again, aka Ralithar, here to give you an instructional. In our first video, we showed how we could play Magic the Gathering Commander on Tabletop Simulator. We did a two-player game, but you can scale that up to whatever you want. You can upload any cards that you want, create your own decks, use your imagination, and we're going to show you here how you can do all of that. Also, for your convenience, we have a list here of all the different timestamps through the video. If you just want a particular piece of information, you can just jump to that timestamp there. The first thing you're going to need a few things. Number one is Tabletop Simulator, which is available on Steam. If you don't know Steam, it's a gaming platform. You can go, the link will be in the description below. From there, you can get Tabletop Simulator, which will allow you to, it's the platform that we use it for a lot of games, a lot of board games and whatnot, but for this particular video for Magic, you're definitely going to need this. From there, you're going to also want to have some sort of communication device. I would recommend a headset. Most laptops do come with built-in microphone, but they tend to pick up everything in a room. You want something that for all of your friends that you're going to be talking to isn't going to create a large amount of distractions while you guys are playing. And lastly, you'll need to access the website frogtown.me. That's where we're going to build our decks, and then we'll show you how to import them into Tabletop Simulator. If you do like what you see here, there are ways that you can support us here and help us grow and make more of these videos. You can first off, nice and easy, you can like, share, subscribe. If you hit the bell notification on YouTube, you can get updates for when we do new videos. We are also on Twitch doing live streams every Monday night. Different board games. We'll be playing board games, card games, all types of things. There'll be a schedule over on Twitch and on our Facebook page. Also, if you like the game that you see, you want to get a physical copy of it, we will have links to purchase that at Amazon. Please use those affiliate links. They help send us money so we can make more of these videos. And then lastly, you can go over to our Patreon page. We have a bunch of special rewards for people who directly support us. Thank you very much, guys, and let's get on with the show. Okay, so we've got a lot of ground to cover here, so I'm going to try to make everything as concise as possible so that you guys get the information in a timely fashion here. I'm going to assume that you have Steam now and you've downloaded Tabletopia. What you're going to need to do first is get yourself into Steam and highlight the Tabletop Simulator. We need to get the table that you're going to be playing Magic on, and for that you need to go over to the workshop here. Then you're going to search for Magic Simple Scripted Table. You do that, you're going to get this here. And Steam, you subscribe. When you subscribe, that means it's going to appear in your listing of options for games, custom games inside of Tabletop Simulator. So just hit the subscribe button here, and then it will show up inside of Tabletop Simulator. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is build our deck. So let's go over to frogtown.me. This is where you're going to be able to build the deck. Now you can do this a couple of ways. You can go from scratch, in which case you're just going to go to My Decks, New Deck, and then you're just going to start typing in cards, basically. So you can type in whichever cards come in. They'll come up here. You highlight the card. There's a little plus sign here, and then you can add it over to the deck on the right side. It's pretty straightforward. What I'm going to show you though is a way to import a bunch of cards all at once. You can do that over here, but we're going to actually jump into a new tab here. You can search for decks online, but what you basically need is you need a text-based list of the cards. Decks.tcgplayer.com is pretty good for that. They have a bunch of different decks on here already. You can scroll through, take a look. I'm going to just grab one here at random. We'll take this one here. Okay, so he's got the list of cards here. You can take a look, see if it's a type of deck you want. And you can always pull this in and you can alter the deck as well. Maybe if you want to bring in something as a template to start and then alter it as you see fit, you can do that. So once you're here, just click buy this deck. Don't worry, we're not actually going to buy it, but this is kind of how you get your text version. So all the text is here. We're just going to copy all of that. We're going to come back over to frogtown.me. We're going to do a bulk import. So this will take, paste it in, and this will take all of the cards and import it into. So you've got a 100 card deck. Now the one thing is that if you leave it like this, you can do that. It's going to spawn it as a deck of 100 cards plus any possible tokens that you might have needed for that deck, which is great. The one thing though that it doesn't separate is the commander. So the commander we're going to need to try, we want to try and separate that out. So King Makar, we're going to find him in the list here. King Makar, there you are. And if you highlight, you've got a bunch of options here. One of them is move card to sideboard. So let's do that. We're going to move the card over to the sideboard. Now it's sitting separate. So what happens is when we assemble this deck in Tabletop Simulator, the commander is going to be separate. Okay. So now we go with actions. We're going to export to Tabletop Simulator. So this isn't going to do it directly. We still have a couple of more steps here to do, but it is the start. This usually takes a couple of seconds. Okay, now you can download it. It's going to download it into a JSON file in wherever you normally have your downloads go. So one thing I didn't mention too is the names are pretty ridiculous that they give you as default. Relishing Red Billows. You can change this. The change name allows you to change it to whatever you want. I've already downloaded it, so I'm just going to leave it for now. So this is it here. So now we're going to cut that out of there, and we're going to move to it to, now this is PC, this is not Mac, it's a different one for Mac, but so we're going to move it to it's documents, and then my games, Tabletop Simulator, saves, saved object, and we're just going to paste it in here. So now we're going to be able to pull, this is where it's going to find all of your custom objects inside Tabletop Simulator show up here. So you just paste it in here, and you're good to go inside of Tabletop Simulator. Let's pull up Tabletop Simulator. Sorry, I had it on a non-full screen there. Okay, we're just going to make a single player game here. But obviously, if you're doing multiplayer, if you're doing it with a bunch of people, you're going to go into multiplayer. You're going to create, if you're hosting, you're going to create a server name and a password for your friends to find you, and then the amount of players maximum you want in there. Some people can come and spectate if you wanted extra players in there, but overall you can set it to whatever your amount is that you're doing. You hit create. Create server. And now you're going to pick under workshop. You're going to have the simple scripted table is there. So you load it up. Now there's a base tutorial. That kind of shows you your basic controls inside of Tabletop Simulator. I would recommend going through that, although sometimes it's a little glitchy, but it is what it is. I'll go through some basic controls here at the end. So if you don't have controls, then that'll help. Anyway, for here, now that you're here, you go to Objects, and under Saved Objects, our Relishing Bad Billows is right there. You just left click it, close this, and now we've got our deck of 99 here. And then we have our commander here. There's our commander, and then this is any of the tokens that you might have needed for the deck. It also spawns those as well. So you've got everything you need for this particular deck to play a game. So for Magic specifically, there's some it's a complicated game. So there's a lot of complicated draw mechanics, and you have Sensei's Divining Top and some really weird kind of things that aren't regular in card games. A lot of that can be accomplished pretty easily with the right click on the on your deck. Like you can search your deck if you've got a tutor of some sort. You can even use the text here. You can, if you're doing scrying, you can pull the card up into your hand, the draw, and it always draws to the right. If you're drawing cards, it's always going to draw. So the ones on the right are going to be the ones that you're if you're revealing. So with scry, you don't reveal it to them, to your opponent, so you want it to come up into your hand. And then if you want to put it on the bottom of your deck, you can flip it over in your hand. You just drop it on the ground, and you just plop your library right on top of it. Pretty straightforward. A lot of the commands are pretty simple. You tap and hold, you can bring your deck around, move it around. You can pull a card right off the top if you want, just by quickly kind of grabbing and flicking off the top. And then this particular board rather sticks, like you have kind of a grid so that your cards aren't really overlapping. You can, just to let you to organize them a little bit more easily. Some people like this and some people don't. I like it. I just stack like basic lands on a single thing because you get highlights. Like if you have more than one card on a stack, you can see that there's two there. And now your opponents can as well. Like your opponents can see what's happening. If you search your deck, they know you're searching because they can see, the magnifying glass and whatnot. So it works pretty well. One thing, guys, you should also do, especially when playing Magic, for tapping cards. It's up here you have your rotation for Q&E rotates the cards. If you change that, the default I think is 15 or 30 or 45. It's less than that anyway, but it only rotates it a little ways. If you set it to 90 degrees, you're gonna save yourself a lot of grief because you just easily tap it. You can tap all your cards pretty simply just with the rotate functions with E and Q on your keyboard. The last thing you're going to need is some sort of voice communication software that can help you talk to your friends. This Discord is one of the easier ones to set up. You can download an app, which I'd recommend as opposed to using the browser, but this will help. You can set up a server pretty easily, get it started, invite your friends to that server, and you can all communicate with headsets there. The other thing you could do is using Facebook's chat. I find Facebook chat actually is pretty good as far as noise distortion. It cuts out background noise pretty well. That's either of these are way better than the Tabletop Simulator. Does have a way you can talk through the game, but it's unfiltered. So unless you have really good headsets, it's you'll get a lot of background noise, and it's not great. Anyway, that about wraps it up for me. If you have any questions, just mention in the comments below, and happy gaming.